Hi, everybody. I'm Alanna Starr, and you're watching an interview. And that is not your normal interview. This is the interviews of people that I bring on, special guests that get to share their spiritual insights and their how they've came from point A to point B and along their spiritual journey. So today I have with me Erin, I might be saying it wrong. You just told me, but I'm not sure. Erin Gaulding, right? Gaulding. And she's a CEO of an amazing school, an evolutionary school called Fireside Learning Academy, and it's international. She's super passionate. She's a mother. She's an entrepreneur. She's known as a visionary. And I've really enjoyed connecting with her and sharing and learning from her about what she's working on. So welcome, Erin. Thanks for coming on. Please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are. I know that you're transitioning into this new career as you are the CEO, but as like a director, a managing director of a new school called the Fireside Learning Academy. And there's multiple levels of the school, but I want you to just share a little bit of your background as an entrepreneur and how you came to this space.
Yes, and thank you so much for having me on and being here. And yeah, so I am really passionate about changing our education system and being part of the change. We call it evolutionary education because it's really infusing mind, body, and spirit in with traditional education. And this is new, our education system is not supporting our children right now who are just their wisdom and their knowledge and their spirituality is so much more connected in this, upcoming generation that I'm proud to be part of a new space in education being carved out. And so, our school is called Fireside Learning Academy, International, K through 12. And it's just a really exciting time right now for all kinds of new changes in the world right now happening with the pandemic and the chaos. And out of all of that comes beautiful solutions to long-awaited, transformation that we've all been waiting for.
Amazing.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, it's wonderful to be here. I always think I'm ready for these interviews, and then I'm like, oh, what am I going to say? Because there's just so much. There's so much that I want to learn, and I want people to hear from you, because this is the type of schooling that I've been waiting to see, that I needed when I was a child. There's just so many levels of education and academia that, it's like, how does a parent choose which school to take their child to? So I really want to hear a little bit of background of your entrepreneurship, of like where you come from in that sense. Yeah, so please share where you came from that way.
So I would say that I'm really just an entrepreneur at heart, pretty much a serial entrepreneur, but I really have my whole pretty much career, I have been in business for myself. So actually this school, which I'm hugely passionate about from all of my businesses, this is actually my fourth business. And I've had a franchise, and I've had a business that was from the ground up, $500 in my pocket, started a business and, did that for 9 years. And it's just really—
What that was?
Say again?
You want to share what that was?
Sure. It was called DGC Outdoor Media, and it was a sign business. And so we did that for 9 years. We had a niche working with commercial real estate customers. And then before that, I had a business it was a franchise called Copy Club. And it was similar to the old Kinko. So this was back in the 90s. So I'm kind of dating myself, but so this was back in the late 90s. And so we did that for 8 years. And then I've had my own coaching practice, working with other entrepreneurs themselves on how to grow their business. And I did that, still loosely working with that, but I've been doing that for the last 5 years. And then now the school. And I would say the school is my most passionate, just because it just really touches my heart to work with children. And even from my end, being a life and leadership coach and a business coach, I can bring some of that coaching into our next generation, the children, and use my skills in that way, which is, kind of new for me.
Beautiful. That's amazing. Well, it's good to see that, it actually really helps, because one of my questions today was going to be, how do you see Fireside Learning Academy helping children to become, to be in the real world?
Yeah.
How does it differ from other schools? And I think that having the background in other types of work environments is really helpful. Some people just know they want to be a teacher, and they want to bring that, and they want to be a teacher, and that's all they did. But it's nice to have the actual background that the teachers that are going to be a part of the school actually bring to the children, the life.
Yeah, and I think school should be such preparation for what we call the real world. And, yeah, exactly, the real world. And, this next generation, they're so much in touch with themselves that I think our biggest gift that we can give the children is to foster their own finding their own light, finding their own empowerment, discovering what they're passionate about, and giving them and teaching them the resources on how to take that passion and turn that into something tangible in the world. And a lot of that is exposure to options, just options of what you can do. And certainly, with my coaching skills, we do a lot of, higher level leadership, communication skills, collaboration, emotional intelligence. And those are some of the things that I bring to the school as an instructor myself. But then also we want to expose the children to as much as we can. I mean, entrepreneurship courses, working with, wealth management and what that means. We don't really learn that in school, or I didn't, and I don't think it's being taught today. And just getting back to some of these kind of traditional ways of being, learning to plant, learning what plants are, what they do, what how they can heal you, and all about food and family and communication and communities. And then just
they really took those things out of the school system, right?
Yeah.
No driver's ed, no, I want to know how to handle having a good amount of money. We're
Right.
never taught that. We're never taught
how
to emotionally be available for that as well. Because,
Right.
We're talking about generational poverty, how to overcome those things.
That's exactly correct. And, I feel like at, my generation level is, I feel like it's an exciting time for us to notice the transition and where some of these changes really should be occurring. And we kind of get to be the ones that are able to start doing that for our children. It's kind of like breaking some of those old patterns that they really have been around forever, from the Great Depression era and all of those things. We get to change that and start teaching from a different level of more like the abundance and the creativity and the ability to create and manifest things into reality. We've always had that. It just wasn't, we weren't taught that, and it wasn't the way that it was done before. And so it's neat to bring that into school and into education where, let's face it, traditionally the kids have spent most of their time in school, most of their day, and K through 12 years of school, and then college, that most of it is in school. So it is important what we teach.
Absolutely. So now that we're on this topic, we kind of touch base a little bit on um, the poverty mindset, right? So when we're looking at, I was doing some research, just understanding, because as maybe people don't know who watch this, but I am actually helping to help get the word out for the school. So of course I do my interviews, and I wanted to bring her on because she's fabulous. But the other part of this is that I'm actually helping to do a little bit of, push work to get the word out there for these great people. And what I learned is that according to one article that I've read so far, about 46% of parents are really big on, the reputation of the school. And they don't really, a lot of parents don't care about, they care a lot about reputation of the school. And I think that, that is an old paradigm way of thinking, is like, it has to be the most prestigious school. And, it has to be like, people have to like, people like status, and they like those things, of having the accreditation of the school, and like who went there, and like whose father's father went there, and how they dress and all these things. And I think that one thing is that there's no discrimination between kids that should be able to get the same education and the same experience, receive the same curriculum, someone who is not in that way yet, and someone that is. So I think that the balance here in this school is great because it has affordability and quality, right? So
Yes.
yeah, so the reputation, what we're trying to do is build trust between, establishing trust between parents and, you and the other founders of the school, who I'll also be interviewing soon, so you can get to know them as well. And so, yeah, the reputation is a big part of the school. So can you tell me how you feel you see yourself building trust with parents, and what sets you aside from other schools when it comes to just how long you've been, you guys have been around? This is still fairly new. It is a new paradigm, like you said. You want parents to know that this is not going to be like other schools. So you have to ask all the questions, don't be afraid to ask Erin questions. But please share how you feel the reputation and trust stands.
Yes. And actually, this is a great topic because this really is breaking the mold of the old paradigm. And as a parent myself, whom, I have been that's partly why I've created the school, was I was looking for the right school for my own son, who's now going on 16 next month. And when I first pulled him out of the public school, it was like just this burning desire inside of me. I knew there was something more for my son, where, I was watching him, like the light in him going dimmer and dimmer and dimmer each day that he went to school and tried to fit into this mold and follow suit. And I know that that's hard on kids, and I know that that's just the way it's gone. And so when we created this school, my sister, who is our education director, Kristen Rich, I consider her to be the top educator, at least in our area in Texas. And she has been in the education system, the traditional paradigm, for the last 24, going on 25 years. And her knowledge of what really the traditional school system is like, and the courses, and she's been from instructor to curriculum writing to the admin staff to even at the city level, district level, and even somewhat of the state level. She's been involved in the curriculum piece. And so now having her on board with our school at Fireside Learning Academy and having her be our education director, I feel like we really have that piece covered. And we really, we can stand, I guess, on our academic credentials, on her credentials. Because I know when I was shopping for a school for my son, all these years, that I was looking for schools that were accredited. And just to be clear on what accreditation actually means, because I can't say that I knew when I was shopping, I just knew that's what I was looking for, was that accreditation just means there's lots of different accrediting organizations. And it just means that an organization has come up with a set of standards for the school to meet. And then they do, I don't know, checks and, ways to confirm that you are in balance and meeting their standards of best practices. And right now, we're not lining up with any of the accrediting organizations because we're a new paradigm. And we're carving out a new space. And eventually there will be accrediting organizations for evolutionary education, where mind, body, and spirit, and really focusing on the child in the way that we do. They'll be there. They're just not there today. So I guess really gaining trust in the parents is not only do we have the top educator, but we've also got us, as we're all parents. All of us are parents, and are really coming from that space of, we knew and know that there is something better for our creative minds, geniuses, beautiful human spirit that fuels their spiritual light rather than dims it. And so it's like collectively, we have all created this. And so that's the trust, is that every parent wants the best for their child. And we think that this is the best solution in education for most children.
Beautiful. Yeah, exactly what I needed when I was a kid, right?
Yeah, me too.
That 46% that I mentioned earlier, because you said something that made me remember correctly, that the 46% is actually for the parents who value the reputation of the school and they valued academics. Like they were harder on their children and they got better grades. That's what I was saying. That's what I was
see. Yeah. Okay. Well, to kind of even kind of go back to where our philosophy is a little bit different in that sense with evolutionary education. We create, I guess, a path, a school path for each individual child based on where they are and how, I guess, every child has their own, their strengths, and then the things that maybe they're not so naturally easy for them. And we really want to focus more on the strengths, but you can't just ignore math completely, so to speak. So it's a balance in the middle, but we really want to focus on what the children are naturally great at. And, because that's where their passions are. Who's to say we don't say what their passions are or what they're naturally adept at? They tell us through how they are moving through the academic material. So, at the same time, we think making the grades and keeping up with the rest of the class in the traditional way that we were doing things really doesn't foster that creativity and that natural, ability in whatever subjects that they are in. Because if you think about it, you could be straight A's in everything and not doing great in one class, and the whole focus becomes that one class you're not great at.
So much pressure.
Yeah. And then it's like you skip over the things you're great at. At that point, no one really cares. It's like the one class that you're not great at becomes the whole focus. The focus of the parents, the focus of the student, the focus of the teacher. And it's just trying to get all the grades up to where they are in alignment and they match, and it's making the grade. And that's not what learning is to us. That is just not what learning is. That's learning to make the grade, learning to pass the test, and learning to fit into standards. We really want them to learn the academics and learn what their skills are and their passions, and learn how they best learn. At that point, you don't know. You know, you're memorizing, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're just trying to get the grade, as opposed to really learning the material. And we consider learning at Fireside Learning Academy to be more of an experience at the same time. We want them to experience the material.
Wow, let me tell you, you're speaking to my inner child. You literally are. This morning, I woke up from a dream. I may share that I woke up from a dream that I was in a classroom and I was taking a math test, and I had math anxiety and I could not finish the test or remember any of it. And in real life, I too am a student of math anxiety. I was actually telling somebody in my dream that I usually get extended time on tests and quizzes and math. I have to sit in a private room. I can use a whiteboard because it was that serious. I didn't get an IEP until I was in the end of high school, that nobody really saw. They just thought, oh, she talks a lot, she's distracted, you know. But it's because I was, first of all, I'm a manifestor in the human design. So if anyone knows what that is, like, I'm the sacred wind in Mayan calendar. We just come in and we just do things, you know. And there's so many things I was so good at, but the math was not my strong point, and there was no cultivation of you know, calming the nerves at all, or making it you know, it really held me back. I had one class to get my AA in social, you know, in college, and it was just math. And I just feel like somebody should have been wise enough to be like, oh wow, she's getting all A's in English and all A's in her social studies and all these things, you know, but that math is not really a strong point. You know, they really should have some type of balancing act for students that are really creative in one area. You can tell when they're being lazy and they just don't want to do anything because they're like a trouble child, or when they're literally just not capable of like taking on that. Like that long division, all that stuff, it mind boggled me. I literally just can't. And then I find out I'm like ambidextrous. So, and seeing things from like the opposite way. So it's not as extreme as I thought it was when I was little. But yeah, I mean, it definitely helps to have the cultivation in a non-coddling way. You know, it's like, I'm not going to let you get away with it, because you have to touch base. It's so important for your soul, and really understand, like, help students or understand how it's important to finish something, to really put your heart into it, to try, versus just you have to do it or you're not going to get anywhere or be anything, because that's what held me back. Like I could have been like doing so many other things right now, but that thing always made me feel less important or less valuable because of that thing. So I love that concept.
Yeah, and imagine, so, you know, that is it's such a typical story of the old school paradigm, and it still haunts us, you know, as being part of that. I mean, I feel the same way, and I think every adult has had that kind of dream of a classroom and not being able to pass a test. And just as you were saying, imagine if some instructor caught on to that, some educator caught on to that and was able to, you know, recognize what was really going on with you. But imagine if you were also taught yourself to figure out earlier, hey, that you need to touch and feel, and you're ambidextrous, you know, as opposed to a visual or an audio learner. Or, you know, imagine if you knew that and could tell your educators, hey, I'm not getting this. I need to touch it and feel it. Show me.
Well, like, oh, you have to go to the tutoring center and It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Just like the homework and then the test. And so speaking of homework, I'd love to know a little bit about the homework structure that you guys have in mind, because a lot of parents are at home right now with their kids. We don't know how long that's going to last. You're in online school mostly. There's options for going that we could talk about later. But when it comes to homework and parents' involvement, how much homework do they have? I know it goes based off of class, but how much involvement do parents really need to be? Like, do they have to be over their shoulders, or is it something simple that they're absorbing and able to take with them to work with?
Yes, great question. So I am the mother of a son who does not like or do homework. So not a big homework fan. And we think, the children are there in school with us, to learn the material. And since it is somewhat self-paced, that, we work at their own pace, and we if they need a little bit more extra material, then the teachers will send maybe some stuff over for enrichment, or a little bit, whatever it is, or even if you're loving the thing and whatever the course is, English, then we might send over some more English stuff for basically for enrichment. So there really is no homework unless, for whatever reason, having more material would suit that particular child. And the parents do not need to sit over their shoulders and watch them and be supportive. We've created our technology, our digital campus, to be even easy for the kindergartners. If we can, once the parents help them get set up, it's up to the teachers to do it. But yet at the same time, we encourage the parents to be involved in what their children are learning, and be part of it, and be, we're even wanting them to create small community gatherings. If you've got another friend who's involved in our school as well, get them together to work together and that kind of thing. But I'm not a homework fan, because I think it's just busy work, and it's a way to get all the material handled in the old school paradigm, where they just plain flat felt they were out of time. Well, we're creating our own time, we're creating our own path, and we're creating what your child needs. And so we go with that.
I love that. Like, classes based off of, we really want you to pay attention, because, I really love taking notes, but I noticed that my notes were always very different than other students that were like really good at, like, their parents were like on their case about their grades. I noticed that my notes were always filled with questions and, very philosophy filled quote, like, notes, and they weren't necessarily always the kind of notes that I would be able to do homework with later, because I was so curious and about the way things worked, and very opinionated.
Yeah.
So I think it's great to be able to, like, have their ability to have their notebook and see what they present at the end of the year, at the end of the semester.
For sure.
What have you cultivated off the things that you've learned from all these things, and maybe they have to write up something on that at the end.
We are all about reflection on what they're learning, what they're doing. And, just a little side note on my son again, he was a lot like that. So his reading, he always thought he was a slow reader. And I'm like, compared to what? He completely embodied all of the books he was reading. And his reading comprehension was practically 100%, because he hung on every word. It was like everyone experiences these things differently. And I think, we do look at, or have as part of our curriculum, is that reflection piece on what they're learning and what they loved about it, and where they want to improve or go next, or because it's all about the individual child and their thoughts and what they're manifesting as well. So I think that's great. We call that portfolio, and we want that to be a reflection of their experience in school. And, just a little side note, we think that, I've already said this, but I'll say it again, that school is not their life. It is part of their life. And we really want them to feel like, you know, they have a chance to explore what they're into as well. And maybe with all the exposure of the stuff, our electives and the different things that we're bringing to the table, they might discover something new that they didn't know of before and really take off with it.
You want to share some of the courses and electives that you have coming up that are kind of available already?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So with our school, to, let's say, graduate from Fireside Learning Academy, we've certainly got the traditional academic coursework, but we also have our 5 signature courses that every child will be required to take. And the first one is Mayan calendar and astronomy. And then we've got astrology and cosmology. And then we've got global spirituality, which is really exposing the children to all kinds of spiritual practices around the world with the, I guess, the intent that they would find something that works for them, that they feel comfortable with. And then we've got life design, which is my course. So it's got more of the leadership, we've talked about a little bit, but the higher level emotional intelligence, human design, which you will be helping out with, and you know, higher level leadership skills, portfolio, all those things are involved in that. And then our fitness program, which is Kundalini yoga and meditation, breath work, nature hikes for, you know, whenever that's accessible. So those are our signature courses. And as of right now, we're expecting more electives, but right now we've got 3 rock solid electives that we're excited to offer. And our children can choose any of them or all, you know, or one of them, or our electives are truly electives. And the one that you will be teaching is Dance Gnosis. And I can let you talk a little bit about it, but then we also have Reiki Empowerment, teaching the children how to, basically just a tool on how to fine tune themselves, heal themselves a little bit, just tune up their own energy, gives them some skills in a fun way that is empowering. And then we've also got a course called Plant Medicine and Sacred Song, which is really learning the healing properties of plants and herbs and how to really use those, what they are, plant them, take care of them, sing to them in sacred songs, and really make that a beautiful giving back to nature type course. But if you want to take a second to talk about Dance Gnosis, because I'm really excited about this too.
Yes. Oh, so, you know, obviously we're planting seeds here. I am the interviewer. I'm also helping with the PR, but I'm also, I'll be teaching some courses and electives. And we have so many more people that are already aligning to teach electives. There's so many cool things that kids can do that are healthy and, you know, will help them in all kinds of areas of their life. The one that I'm doing is called Dance Gnosis, because I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist. And I also am a social dance teacher and social dancer, among many other things. But for this, I'll just leave it with that. And the course basically is going to be breaking down the healing properties and abundant ways of healing yourself and creating healthy boundaries and healthy intimacy between people in your life, other dancers. So, you know, because life is a dance, right? But when we social dance, what I've learned is that I'd go to class for hypnotherapy training, and then I would go out to the dance floor after, you know, to dance. And, you know, social dance is a place where you don't necessarily have to talk. Your body language is speaking, and your hands and your movements and everything. And so the more I learned to bring those tools with me from class, I would take it to the dance floor, and I realized that it was making me a better dancer. I was matching and mirroring, like if I had a client, and I learned to build rapport quickly with each dancer. And I learned to put boundaries up, like, don't touch me that way. I'm okay walking away if you are inappropriate. I'm okay you know, like learning to smile, learning to feel good about yourself and not worry about who's looking at you or judging you, your ego. And there's so many different aspects of it. But the gnosis part is knowing yourself, knowing who you are. And through your body, you can do that. And through, you know, healthy socializing and healthy intimacy. And I think that's a great way to do that. So I'll be introducing the course and I'll be teaching those foundations. Right now I'm expecting a child, so I'm not going to be teaching the dance maybe until later, my style, but I'll be introducing the kids to many different teachers from all over the place, from Brazilian zouk to Dominican style bachata to salsa. There, you know, some of these dances can look a little, you know, you watch on Dancing with the Stars and they are a little bit sassy. They can be very sexy, you know, but the whole point is that to teach children, to teach adults, really the consciousness way of dancing and connecting with others, that you don't have to do anything in return, that it's okay to feel great and dance and make that connection in a healthy way, you know, because we are cultivating our kundalini energy, our sexuality, those sacred fires when we are dancing. And I think that a lot of the times you know, I've seen people that had no confidence and felt like they couldn't talk to anybody, and then all of a sudden they're using dance to build that, and then they have all this, you know, charisma, and they almost don't know what to do with it. So I'm here to help guide that, to introduce them to these styles of dance, so that way when they go to a party or they go somewhere, you know, this is not in a like party animal. I'm a social dancer, which means I do dance studios. There are some times where I can go to a club or something, but it doesn't involve drinking or anything like that. It's purely for the desire of healthy connection and healing the body, and maintaining healthy energy levels. It keeps you young. I'll be teaching some information about the immortality connection, of regenerating the body through dance. You know, if you notice a lot of dancers, they look very young and they stay that way because there's just something about it, something beautiful about that. So I'll be teaching that, and then introducing to different teachers every week that will create a different style. It's going to be expanding. So that's what we have right now. And then we also have, I'm also a part of the Sacred Song, which is exciting as well, sharing intertribal songs. So yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I'm
so
really
thank you for letting
excited
me
about
share
that.
that.
Yeah, and some of the teachers, the dance teachers that Alanna is having in the class are, I mean, I think they're the best of the best representation of these different kinds of dance styles, and just so fun. And they're also going to work in our early education, kindergarten through, you know, second or third grade, and just breaking up that academic day with just fun and play.
Yeah.
And so they're going to jump in with the those teachers in the early grades, and just add more play to the mix as well.
Yes. And the great thing is too, is that when this crisis is over,
Right.
because it will be over one day, you know, it's going to be over, and it's definitely taken a hit in the social dance community. People are not dancing as much, you know, they're using the masks a little bit different. But when things do open up, I'm sure you can see us gathering together and being able to utilize these dances, instead of just being kind of awkward, you know? Because dance is very music, song, dance, movement. It is our abundance. It is it's so important. It's such a part of the shaman's way. It's a part of a healthy lifestyle, and many cultures have their dance. So
And expressing, because, you know, we are creative beings, and if we don't express that creativity, that's where all these mental health issues come into play. That's where all these things, like, we have to express, and that's such a great way to you know, express that creative part and to learn,
you don't have to
because,
talk.
you know, it's all about experiencing, and that's total mind, body, and spirit right there.
Yeah, and I love that you're so you understand how important that infusion of mind, body, and spirit really is, because that's what I brought to the dance scene, and that's what made it change for me. It used to be just, oh, I'll go out, and, you know, it's like, and yeah, there's cute boys and there's drinks, and it's like, no, the moment I got serious about it and I was like, no, this is actually for my health, this is from my spirit, mind, body, and spirit, then it just changed everything. And I'm not going out there looking for the wrong things. I'm going out there looking for healthy connection. And it, like I said, it doesn't take your voice. You actually don't have to even be someone who likes to talk a lot to have that experience, to go dance and then feel like you just had a great conversation with your soul.
And it is kind of managing your own energy and your own aura, and all the the different bodies that we have. It allows you to get some confidence in doing that, and it just completely fits into everything that Fireside Learning Academy is. And we have lots more electives coming on board. Just a matter of, us talking to everyone, and certainly we're enrolling now. So the more students we have, the more things we can offer. But it really is all about exposure to all kinds of different things, because, the children will remember what they are passionate about and what their inner soul is about, and what their, what their purpose is to be here. And just from the exposure of interesting things that we can offer that are outside of traditional academics, and we think that a school should be able to do all of that. We're the educators. Right. So we think exposure.
A new note. So something else I came across doing in some research is that one of the number one things that parents looked for was school safety. So as we know, the school is online. So we know the safety is mostly, confined to someone's home or wherever they're taking their courses. But are there other ways that you can say that there's safety happening in the school so that way parents understand that? Because I do find that is important. I'm guessing just like firewall for the website, which I'm sure you have. Yeah. I can't really see anything else where safety would come in.
Well, and just, one day we're going to be able to get together in person. And we encourage that to our outdoor learning facilities, which we'll probably talk about here in a minute. But, just a side note of vaccines is a hot topic right now. And a lot of parents are pretty passionate either way, vaccinate, not vaccinate. We don't think that's a school decision. We think that decision belongs at home, family decision. Your child, your family. So we don't require that. And, also we're not big proponents. I'm just throwing this all out here, but we're not big proponents on medicating for, ADHD or ADD or, any of these things. Certainly not a doctor at all. Don't even claim to be. It's just, I think in the old paradigm, having a creative child that is, just dying to express what they've got going on in their own passions. Sometimes, in traditional, the old paradigm was medicated. As far as safety goes, and, firewalls and online safety in our digital campus, actually, we have put a lot of effort into the digital campus and making it a robust system that is easy to use, yet challenge the students at the same time, because technology is a big part of their life coming forward. And we can't even wrap around what the technology that they are learning and needing to learn, what that is going to do for their generation. But it's important. So we have put a lot of effort into that. And certainly everything is secure. This is not like a meeting that is hackable. It is all proprietary on our partners, I guess our partner servers. I don't have my own server, but our partner servers on keeping everything safe. We also have a nice collaborative back and forth platform to communicate with the parents and the older students on what's going on in their classes, what they need to know, what they've done, what they've covered. And so the parents are certainly absolutely involved to the level they want to be on everything going on. And all of our courses are recorded, and if you need a copy, they are sent through our secure server. And I think we pretty much have that covered in terms of safety.
Well, great. So all the things that parents look for in schools, school safety, an excellent, strong curriculum, and of course, academics and great teachers.
Yeah.
We have it, we have it all. And I think that, the only thing I see people really questioning ever is like the global spirituality, because everyone's so has their own views, and I think the whole point is to your school, from what I can see, is that it's not trying to like just cater to people. And like, it's not some big, advertisement to make things look perfect. But what it is that it's building a new tradition of, teaching kids that obviously coexisting, and that there's so many different beautiful views out there, and that you don't have to follow any of them. You could stay with what your parents raised you as, but also be aware of what other people are going, that they live with, so that way you can understand each other better. Because I think that that's one of the biggest things, is that a lot of kids go to school and there's so many fights and like, segregation still, and separation and division, because there's not a common thread of love for one another. And I think that this school is really going to help cultivate that a lot for our
and it really will. And I think that children are innately see each other as a oneness, and it's kind of just been almost like taught out of them. I can't blame it all on the old school paradigm. It's just the way that we've been thinking as a society, and not encouraging and fostering that part. And and as a school itself, and certainly the people that are staffing the school, like you, like me, like the other partners, we hold a level of energy within our own container that called Fireside Learning Academy that is already different than the old school paradigm. But the intent, as you were saying, for the global spirituality is, people equate spirituality and religion as one. They're really not. I mean, it's still all spirituality. And maybe there's a particular religion that you follow, a particular group that you follow, whatever it is. And we really want to just expose the children to all kinds of things, because we all are one. And if they could just find the thing, the spiritual practice that they relate to, and can make it a practice to honor themselves. And if it's the same as what your family is, the same spirituality piece that touches the rest of the family too, that's fantastic. It's more just honoring the human spirit in whatever way that looks like, and exposing them to so much more. I think really, as you were saying, it really does open your eyes up into seeing and being able to connect with other human beings on where they are and what they believe, and where, just knowing, the old saying, you do you, this next generation is already totally embodying that. And this is not necessarily teaching them something new. It's honoring what their already way of being and interacting together. We're just supporting it.
I love it. I love how you said, honoring the human spirit, because that's really that's the biggest thing. A new soul comes in the world, and it's like they have all these gifts with them. So how can we cultivate those and not suppress them with the Adderall and the, yelling at them for being a little more hyperactive than others? Like, yeah, I just think that that's really important, to honor that spirit of the soul coming in. And, being an expectant mother, and then knowing a lot of the people that are spiritual, that have kids, they they are looking for something like this, you know, so it will become something bigger than we can imagine. And
Yeah.
so I'm
Oh, for
excited to see
sure.
it.
Yeah, and it really is like the whole child, the old paradigm is really just fostering one side, the mind, and maybe a little bit of the body in PE or recess or something, and not so much the whole child. And we really need to, if nothing else, teach our children to honor that in themselves every day and make that be a practice. And then when they're not in mind, body, spirit, they realize something is off and do something about it for themselves. We didn't know that when in our, old school paradigm.
We didn't. I mean, you'd see some teachers that did, but you can feel that they felt super suppressed.
Yeah.
Like I've heard so many teachers that are like, I can't stand the way things are. I can't express myself. There's always another teacher who's like breathing down their back, judging them. You know, it's like, no, you should just be able to be yourself. We shouldn't have teachers with a fake front at school and them being crazy people. And I think that really is part of the problem, is that we're splitting our minds and our souls and our consciousness all the time. And we need to bring our mind, body, and spirit, all levels of our being, here now in the present moment. We should have teachers that can do that and demonstrate that, and that we know who they're about when they're outside of the school and when they're inside the school.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be that much of a big difference. You shouldn't, because kids are not dumb. You know, they see who you are.
Definitely not.
They see who you are and they talk, you know, they know. So
know.
it's like, we shouldn't, I get obviously protecting and shielding, because I'm big on child protection, you know, but at the same time, I also saw things as a child. And I think that having to act like I didn't see them, or, you know, was part of the biggest problem, is that our mind split, our souls split. And that's why people come in to healers all the time, because
Right.
they're trying to fuse themselves together again. Because if they're getting it at home and they're getting it at school, it's like, when do they get to be themselves?
Yep.
And I think that this is fabulous. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And people you're working with, including Jose Abju Munoz, and I like to we all call him Tata Jose, but he's a day keeper of the Mayan calendar, teacher.
Yeah, he's a spiritual leader.
Yeah, a true spiritual leader.
Yeah.
And I would love to know a little bit, before we start closing up the session, how you and Jose got involved together. I will be interviewing Jose and your sister Christy really soon, so we can learn all about them. But I'd love to hear what got you two connected.
Yeah, and we have kind of a cute, funny story, because really the universe brought us together. And, as the universe does, if we just pay attention, right? If we just stop and listen, then the path is already lining up. So I happened to catch him. I followed Rama Institute for Kundalini Yoga on YouTube. So he was doing an interview, or was a guest speaker, I guess, on the stage at Rama Institute. And I just happened to catch his YouTube video, and he was talking about time portals. And I was just, I don't know, mesmerized by his conversation. I mean, the universe brought us together. So all credit goes to the universe here, but we were listening. And he happened to leave his phone number at the end of the YouTube video. And I felt compelled to write it down. And I wrote it down on a big, like printer piece of paper, 8.5 by 11, and a big black Sharpie marker, the whole page. Like, who does that? The whole page was his phone number. And I just left it upstairs on the table for a few days. And I thought, so I looked at it, here and there as I walked by, because it was big letters, numbers, I guess, really big. And I thought, okay, today's the day I need to call him. Like, I can't ignore my own piece of paper And that's how we met. And then we just started, I don't know, talking. And it just became clear that the message was this education piece, this school that, you know, needs to come together, and we're the ones in charge of it. And then I went to go meet him out in LA a few months later after, you know, us talking. And then here we are. Here's the school right here in front of us. And it's the two of us running the school, and we're gathering so many great instructors and pieces, you know, people and their experience. Like, I really feel like we're a big magnet for the best of the best in this space of evolutionary education, just really coming to us. And that's how we met.
Wonderful. You know, I met him in a similar way through a mutual friend who I adore very, very much. And I definitely do give credit to the universe and always for that experience, you know, for him connecting me to you guys as well. And I think that one thing that I've learned, because I always would feel like I never had enough stuff under my belt to claim authority for what I really want to do here. And I think that's one thing that all of us are doing right now, is like we're claiming the authority because the universe brought us together, and it's very clear to us, together and separate, that the world is changing and that we're entering a new paradigm, and that there are you know, leaders for that. And I think to claim that authority right now is something really important that I see all of you guys doing, all of us doing, to, you know, do our part into taking the next step into evolutionary education, to expanding consciousness, to so many other things. So it's really brilliant and it's very special. And I say, you know, hallelujah, praise be for you and everybody doing this work. And I'm just really looking forward to seeing what else comes of this, what other people jump on board. I think that you should maybe share your screen of how they can reach out to you.
Okay, yeah.
And that way people can know where to find you. You can find her on Facebook. You can find the Fireside Learning Academy on Facebook and on Instagram. All the merrier, the followers, the better, because, you know, please share, because, you know, we have little numbers right now, but that's because we're not hiring a big PR person to do it for us. We are just organically wanting to get the word out there. And so please share, please take the number down, call for any questions that you have for Erin.
Yeah. And please do share, like, maybe you don't have children but you know someone who does, or you know, that can really benefit from being part of the school. You know, anything that we can do to really support this next generation, because, you know, this is our next generation leaders. And actually what we do now, according to Mayan, you know, I guess astronomy, we're setting up the generation for the next 7 generations. Like, it is imperative right now that we carve out this space and that we really make this the new norm for the next, you know, 7 generations. I mean, this is a big deal. And the fact that we are, you know, infusing mind, body, and spirit into education is definitely new, but we're also infusing nature in with technology. And, you know, we're building some outdoor learning opportunities that are literally by fireside, and we call them dream catcher manifestation stations. And we also have the ability to send you at home and in your own communities, which is really where learning is going again, is back home and into the community of, you know, families that are just being involved together in the children's learning. But we have a way to send you the same experience in the fireside, fire pit type thing, a smaller portable dream catcher portal. And it really, this really is important that we set it up for the next generations. And it's right now, right now is the time, right here, right now. And, I guess as a parent myself, I'm not new to having my son seek different ways of schooling, because I, pulled him out of the public school in 4th grade, and he's now 16. But I remember the feeling of what that was like. And it's a big deal to kind of buck the traditional system and say, hey, there's something more for my child. Like my child, knowing that there are solutions out there, like it's like this undying, I've got to go follow up on them, so call us, and we can help you decide if this is a fit for you and your child, and where you want to go with this, because this is setting up the generation.
Yeah, have your child become a cosmic student.
That's right.
The greater whole, that not just limited to what's right in front of them. They're going to be exposed to like many different, it's an international school. So
yes,
be able to connect in so many different ways. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And when I do interview Jose, everyone will learn a lot more about the manifestation stations and portals and all these words that I'm guessing that people who come to this are a little bit more aligned and they understand, but we're so happy to explain anything that might not make sense to you. And so we're going to get into much more in-depth detail there. And so Erin, thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you for coming on. And this won't be it's not our first and it's not our last, but I'm just glad that I get to hear you speak, because you are a light and you just share beautifully. And I see your vision, and I hope that everyone gets to see this vision. So please like, share, comment, question questions. I question everything. So don't ever be afraid to question things, because people that are open and transparent have no problem answering the question. Right?
For sure. And it helps us grow and know what people are looking for, and make sure that we communicate what you guys need to make a decision on what to do for your child. So any of your questions help us to reach the right message, or say that, the right, I guess, message.
Exactly. And anyone else, feel free to reach out to me. I am a certified clinical hypnotherapist, and I do help and mentor. So anything I can do for you personally, please reach out to me. You can find me on my Instagram at Starlanna, StarRRLANNA. As well, if you want to hear me blabbering stuff on Twitter, I do the same thing there, a little more spiritual talk, and I share all kinds of stuff there. So feel free to find me on the same StarRRLANNA. And yeah, reach out to me here. My info will be down below, and so will Erin's. All right, you guys, I'm wishing you a beautiful day. We're going to end this recording. Blessings.
Bye.